All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Market Open. It is August 21st, 2023. We are 10 days left in the month of August, which is absolutely insane. And then we've got September. It is 9:21 a.m. We've got a lot going on this week. Last week was obviously a very bloody red week in the market. Probably a week that was needed given where valuations were going and given kind of how the stock market had performed the month prior. And we got the week that we probably needed to get. This week is going to be interesting because relatively it's a boring week outside of the fact that one of the biggest companies in the world is producing earnings that has the biggest AI hype cycle around it. But outside of that, it's a pretty boring week in August. And for all intended purposes, the market's probably going to go down again this week because August and September, we've got to see a little bit of a decline. The question is, how bad is the decline? Can the decline be staved off a little bit? Or is the decline going to be pretty aggressive this week? And so it's going to be interesting to see how the market ultimately interacts with everything that's going on this week. Obviously, Nvda earnings are going to be the biggest news this week. That is going to be a headline of everything. If Nvda goes up, I think market either stays the same or goes up a little bit. If Nvda goes down, the market is going down with it. Felicia, Benny, Ty Gordon, Joseph, Nathaniel, Cash King, the best Market Open show. I appreciate you, man. Jared, Astricus, David, Philip Rizzo, SJ Jew Jr., Kanki, Robert Sanchez says, wake your ass up. The stock market is open. Good morning from Denver. Good morning, Robert. Thank you for being here. Marlon, Sonam, Sethi Roth, Sasky Rose, Kanki, Sanjay, Dex, Carlos, Everclear, Eric Tabor, Mark C, F3, Yo-Yo Amit. My man did my 5-mile run yesterday. Called in a Cali rainstorm. Wow, that must be fun, running in a Cali rainstorm. I love it. I love it. Socrates, Nathaniel, Paul Goggin, Jason, Midwest, Doug C. All right, here we go. We've got a lot to talk about as we open up the market. Obviously, again, Nvidia is going to be the big news of this week. I believe Nvidia earnings are actually going to be well. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think Nvidia earnings are going to be fine. I think that they are going to definitely achieve their 60% revenue growth year over year projection that they had from last quarter. The only reason for this is because I've been reading many articles saying that Nvidia can't even keep up with the level of demand that they have over the past 3 months. So that signals to me it's pretty obvious their current revenue, I think they're expected to do 11.4 billion. That's going to happen. And that's not going to be that hard to predict. Nvidia right now at 2.5% in the pre-markets. The thing that's going to be interesting or that's going to be dicey is what is their guidance going to look like? If their guidance does not look the way their guidance looked last quarter, meaning 60% revenue quarter for quarter, let's say it's maybe 40%, 30%, maybe only 10 or 20%, maybe it's 70%. That guidance is going to be the defining factor, the epicenter of how the market interprets the overall market for AI demand. If that, for example, is the same 60%, 70%, or even larger, there is going to be a cascading effect around all the other stocks, because if all these other stocks are essentially AI plays, even if they're not really related to GPU or chips, if they're in the AI bucket, the market is going to be interpreting as the demand for AI chips means that the demand for other AI companies is also going to be correlated, even if that's incorrect. Like, I don't know necessarily if AI chips on Nvidia demand means that Palantir's demand for AIP is positively correlated. But the market is the market, and so the market will interpret that. So the guidance they're issuing for next quarter and for next year, if they continue to revise it to the upside or at least maintain it the same, is going to be important. The other thing that's really interesting about this is because I some people were pointing out on Twitter yesterday, I fundamentally agree with this. The market has a massive incentive to make sure companies like ARM that are going public at around a $50-70 billion valuation in September have exit liquidity. And for them to have exit liquidity, there needs to be enough people on Wall Street that still believe the AI narrative. ARM is also a chip company. It is owned 80% by SoftBank. SoftBank wants to take those shares public. SoftBank is going to make like a 20x when those shares go public. And in order to get those shares to go public, they need to have buyers. And those buyers are going to be people that would be buying a company like Nvidia, a company like SMCI, etc. So there may be a world where Nvidia doesn't do amazing, but the market artificially keeps the AI hype narrative, which obviously AI is a real thing, but in general, the overall hype around it sustained in order to have some other companies go public. And so that's what I think we have to be looking forward to or looking at when we think of Nvidia going public. Ray, good morning. Kimberly Yoon, good morning as well. Thank you all for being here. Amit, where were you last night? So I was actually helping my dad. That's why I was not on the Finance Junkies podcast. So I was doing something with him, and I maybe could have made it by 7, but I had so much stuff to do that by the time I got home and my phone died, it was like 9 p.m. I was like, yeah, there was no way I was going to make this by 7. But they had a good show. Obviously, Chris and Vitaly are going back and forth on Enphase, which we'll check on in a second. It is, creating quite the controversy. Jeremy, thank you for being here. And Chris thinks it's still overvalued, which is funny because I don't think it's overvalued. I think it's, I think could it still have room to fall? Yes. But in terms of, is it egregiously expensive? I don't think so. Now, maybe Chris is right about that. Maybe Vitaly is right that it is the cheapest it's ever going to be. I don't know. I don't really have a dog in the race. I have a couple of shares, so it'll be fun to kind of see it play out. In fact, on Twitter, when they were arguing about it, I was just like, well, I've got my little Palantir here in the corner. Speaking of Palantir, we've got Palantir up in the pre-market. So we were at 1370 last week. That was our low. Right now we're at 1455. Green 1% in the pre-markets. Going to be super interesting to see this week what the price action looks like. There was a piece of news that Sham tweeted about yesterday around Fed start. I'll probably make a video about that and go more in depth, but it goes to show kind of how they're implementing some of their newer products to gain revenue, but nothing this week or last week that has been super changing in the context of, overall revenue or the story for Palantir. Now it's just a question of price action. SoFi is up at 828. This was also down in below $8 at $7, $7.90 on Friday. Robinhood, for those that maybe have seen my tweet or not, I officially opened up my Roth IRA at 25 years old. I know a lot of people are like, Amit, how do you not have a Roth IRA? Yeah, honestly, like I just never opened up the Roth IRA. I was really close to opening it up last year, and then like something happened in the middle of me paying taxes and stuff, and I just forgot about it. So I finally decided, like, let me just open this thing. And it took me 2 seconds, like literally 2 seconds to open it on Robinhood. They gave me a 3% match, so you can max it out with 6,500. They give you $195 on top of that. With 3% match, I know some other companies do matches. For not having an employer, a 3% match is actually phenomenal. I don't even know if an employer matches as well as Robinhood does. You need to have Robinhood Gold, but for $60 a year to be able to get a 3% match is pretty amazing. And if they keep that up for a while, then it's going to be really nice to have that 3% match. And the ease of using the Roth IRA was just like incredible. I mean, like it felt like magic the way I was using it. So I am more confident than ever that Robinhood is going to be able to bring this magic-like experience to many, many more customers over the next couple of years, and they're going to be able to grow. I mean, that experience I had yesterday was just absolutely insane. So shout out to Robinhood. I think they're going to be fine. They're up today, $10.30. The dip was at $9.95. I got the dip a little bit. We'll see if the dip continues to go back. It looks like a green day because the market had so much red that it's ready to rebound just a little bit. S&P at 437. I still think 420 on the S&P is where we're headed before we have the major next leg up. Just because if you look at Trueflation, CPI went from 2.5 to 2.69. So we're seeing a tick up in inflation as well. It's probably going to be affected in the overall CPI numbers coming out next month. So, I mean, I still expect us to see a little bit more of a 5-6% decline, and then we'll keep going forward. But if maybe this is the bottom, 436, and we can make the next leg, that'd be fine as well. I would have no problem with that. Nvidia right now at 444, up 2.76%. Palantir at 0.90. We got 40 seconds until this market opens. June, good morning. Thank you for being here. PayPal bullish from now. PayPal, I am incredibly, incredibly bullish. Well, I mean, look, maybe it has some more room to fall, but they've got $2 billion left to do in buybacks. They don't have, I mean, they could grow nothing for the rest of the year and do those buybacks and take away some of the float. And the more I research Braintree, the more I realize, oh, this is something that's like not effing around. Yes, there's competition in fintech, but for PayPal, just to get back to a fair value, not even be some outstander in the fintech space, I don't think they have to do that much to be able to get there. All right, here we go. It is officially August 21st, 2023, 9:30 a.m. The stock market is now open. Wake your asses up. Here we go. Palantir at $14.48, up 0.35%. Enphase down at $129.90. Nvidia $444. SoFi $823. Alibaba $87.48. It had 92 on the earnings pop, and now it's down to around $87.48. Obviously, some of the stuff that's China is going is probably not the best for some of their tech companies. Robinhood at $10.29, up 0.39%. UiPath $14.84. S&P $437. It will be interesting this week to see if we get down to 29 on the S&P, because if we kind of could just rip it off like a bandit and get there, then we'll get there. Now, if Nvidia earnings do well, the S&P is going to be able to benefit as well. So that's going to be one thing to look out for in the context of the S&P. NASDAQ opens up 54 points, 13,345. Disney at $85. Apple, 174. Hims, $6.84. Walmart and Target down just slightly for today. Target at 131, Walmart at 157. Tesla at 221 opens up nicely. Tesla was at 213, I believe, on Friday. So not bad, opening up green in the 221 range. Bank of America at $29.20. Truist, $28.89. Truist took a beating on Friday, so it's recovering just a little bit. We'll see if it can cover over the $29 range and then make its way back to $30. JP Morgan at 149. Pac West and Zion, some of the other regionals, down a little bit. Key Corp is up into it, 489. PayPal, $59.59, up 0.13%. Meta at 282. Meta was very interesting at 314. I guess it was not able to sustain that valuation, now down to 282. I still believe Meta is a little expensive. Out of all the big tech, I think Meta is the cheapest, but I still think it's expensive given the rapid run up it had from $88 to around 300. So Meta at 250 looks better for a DCA, but honestly, Meta at 220 is what I would want. I don't know if we get that, but if we don't get that, that's okay. Meta right now at $280. Snowflake, 150. DNA, $1.06. Duolingo, 124. Duolingo has come down a lot more. I would like Duolingo to come down a little bit more before I get in. The valuation is getting a little rich, even if their growth is amazing. Their overall TAM is the thing I struggle with when it comes to Duolingo. I mean, how many people in the world really want to learn a new language? Like, is it that big? Like, there's a lot of people, but is it big enough to build a multi-$100 billion company at the end of the day? So Duolingo, I'm researching more about their TAM. I would love this to be at $100. That would be a little bit more exciting. And look, if we get the S&P at 420, that might end up happening. Google at 127, Amazon 133, Mercado Libre 12, lower than its July prices. SMCI at 246, Datadog 95, Open Door at $3.07. So we got a green market, folks. It's green. Even Spotify green at 132. It's not super green, but it is indeed green. Palantir flat on the day, 1439. Nvidia 433 or 443. SoFi at 825. Enphase at 129 and Robinhood at 1026. Got a green morning, folks. Not too bad. Got a green morning, folks. Steve Sith, good morning. Thank you for being here. Buckle up, bro. We are going to see how bad this market turns, especially in the context of different earnings. Zoom is reporting this week. Now, Zoom is going to be really interesting because I really love Zoom, the product. I pay for Zoom, the product. Kathy Wood has a $1,500 price target on Zoom. And I'm going to just show you right here. I'm going to show you what I tweeted yesterday. The base case is 1,500. The bull case is 2,000. And the bear case, not the base case, the bear case on Zoom is $700. $700. I've always said this, for the past year. This is a model as of June 2022. They haven't changed from here. So if Zoom does what Kathy thinks it's going to do, it's a 23x by 2026, which is less than 2 years away. Less than 3 years away. 2026, 23x, 1,500 on Zoom. What's the bull case for this happening? Obviously, massive growth. I don't know how a video app grows as big as they think. People are saying, oh, there's AI. I'm like, bro, I don't know if the AI is enough to save this one. Remember when Zoom was 500? It's because everyone in the world had to use it because of the pandemic. That's what was the trigger for it to be at 500. I don't know if we're having another event like that or if Zoom somehow magically grows to get there. But, if we get there, we get there. And Zoom 700 bear case. Yeah, the bear case, 700. The bear case. So Kathy also said Tesla's going to 2,000. Then she sold it. Well, remember, she was selling Tesla for the rebalancing. I don't know if she sold Tesla necessarily because she didn't like Tesla. Now, granted, her sells on Tesla are amazing. I mean, she sells that guy when it hits the top and she buys right back in when it hits a nice near-term bottom. Enphase at 129. So, I mean, we'll see. Again, Zoom is growing like 5% every quarter. They're just not a growth company in the way I think Kathy thinks it is. But if they turn into this metaverse / AI company that optimizes intra company to company communication. I mean, I've heard of her bull case many times, but it's a market cap of 20 billion. You're going to 23x that, like, I don't know, 400 billion for Zoom. It's just hard. It's really hard for me to see it. And that's what I'm saying. If all of us miss Zoom and Kathy gets that right, we will have missed a 20x right in front of us while Kathy was saying it's going to happen. So it's just maybe we buy one share of Zoom just so we 20x that one share in case it happens. Nvidia at 449. Obviously, investors are excited about this. A couple investors have reached their price targets from 545 to 675. So I really do think the earnings are going to be fine, and Wall Street's going to give them the premium because Wall Street has bought up the crap out of this stock. It's really not retail, in my opinion. A lot of it is Wall Street. So if the price target is ridiculous, if 449 is ridiculous, it's sustained given the fact that Wall Street owns the company, and Wall Street might want to dump the company by September, October. And in order to do that, shares have to go up. So you never know kind of where Wall Street is thinking of taking this bad boy in the context of how these stocks ultimately will perform. Palantir now at 1449 as well. So we got a green market, not super green, not super red, but we do have it to be green. Just bought one more share of Tesla, 60 more shares of Palantir. What about Dutch Bros? So I know Chris and Matt are doing a ton of due diligence on Dutch Bros. It's a $5 billion company. Let me know in the chat if you've tried Dutch Bros. I've never tried it. There's none in New Jersey. I will be going to Vegas in October. I know there are a lot out there in Vegas. So I'll be trying it when I head into Vegas, but I mean, Dutch Bros. I've just never tried it before, so I don't know how beautiful the product necessarily is for a lot of people. Let's get into some more analysis on rate hikes. Obviously, if we get the rate hike, it'll be good. We do have the Fed Summit live from Jackson Hole today, and let's get some analysis on where the Fed is thinking to do on rate hikes. 19 locations in Vegas. Yeah, there's a lot in Vegas for sure.
Potential market catalysts in the week ahead. Lindsay Piegza, Stifel Chief Economist, and Karen Kavanaugh, Carolina's Wealth Management Chief Investment Officer. Lindsay, let me start with you. Why don't you tell us your expectation for Jackson Hole and the Fed Chairman's speech on Friday?
Well, I think a lot of the conversation is going to be around inflation. You talked earlier about the Fed not wanting to declare victory. And in part, that's because they haven't reached their 2% goal. Now, the Fed has made tremendous progress restraining price pressures off of earlier peaks, but the intention was not to get inflation down from 8% to 4%, but to continue on this downward trajectory to that 2% target. So I do think that the Fed has, again, reason to be confident that they're continuing to make improvements. But as we saw in the July FOMC minutes, even before the latest hotter than expected inflation numbers, there was still seen a significant upside risk to inflation. And so I do think that the chairman is going to emphasize the need for more work to be done.
And remember, the reason that's going to be happening is because the Fed cannot give the perception that they have solved inflation, even though if you get rid of housing, inflation is likely going to be solved in the next couple months, and we're going to get that too handled. But if the Fed makes it seem like we've done it, more spending, more inflation, more money to the stock market, the Fed must love the fact that the inflows into the bond market are the highest they've been in like 40 years, and the bond yields are still not coming down. I mean, the Fed must that must be like magic to them, because that means less money is going into the stock market, which means we can't have as many higher prices. And so I think they're going to continue to remain hawkish. And then hopefully by December, we see things actually break and we get inflation into that 2% range.
And potentially resulting then in a higher for longer rate scenario.
Karen, is this an event as far as the stock market is concerned? Is it just sort of, is there only downside risk to the chairman talking here? Is there the idea that he's going to end up being hawkish and that's not going to be positive for the stock market?
I don't think it's that much of an event. It's not like it was last year where we were really looking for some guidance from Chair Powell. So this year, I think it's going to be a little bit more subdued. We are looking for Powell to really give us some guidance on how he thinks progress is working out with our fight against inflation. But I don't think that it's going to be as groundbreaking as it was last year.
And I agree with her on that. It's definitely not going to be groundbreaking as it was last year, because last year we had inflation at 7 or 8%. If you remember, let me actually pull up true inflation right now. We had inflation around, what was it, 7.3 back in August last year. Yeah, it was, because because June was 9 point something, 9.4, I think. So we were at 7 or 8, and that's why Jackson Hole really mattered for that event. Inflation right now at 2.69%. If you see a little bit of this bump we're seeing in August right there, that's probably housing continuing to be ridiculous with mortgages and interest rates. I think this housing issue that we're having is going to be one of the reasons why the Fed has to raise lower rates, because in order to stimulate the economy in the context of making sure there are more houses so that people can actually buy a house, there's exit liquidity for people to be able to sell a house. we need more supply. And in order to have more supply, you need to have rates that come lower in order to encourage the more supply of housing. I mean, I've noticed it myself. My parents bought this house that we're in right now in 2020. It's up like $200,000 that we paid for it. And the house we sold is also up $200,000 that we paid for. And so it's just like, I don't know if in 2 years it's justified for this house to be worth 200 grand more. And so, if we're seeing this, obviously every other homeowner is seeing this, and it's really tough to make a decision if you want to sell. Even my parents were thinking, man, if we sell this house and pocket all that cash, where are we going to move? Because houses are still expensive. So we're in a peculiar situation in the context of housing. If we don't increase the supply, this part of inflation is not going to go down anytime soon. And so I think the Fed is going to have to think kind of how we deal with that perspective. Gas prices jumped here in the Midwest this weekend back over 4. Wow, you guys are back over 4? Bro, I haven't seen $4 gas prices, I think, since like December last year. It's been a long time since I've seen a 4 handle. That's incredible in the Midwest. I'm in Jersey. I would expect, I think the highest I've seen is 380, and I don't get gas from those places. I get gas from like 330. So, wow, 4. I would assume in the Midwest it's a little bit lower than that. That's insane. I know California, you got $5 gas, which is ridiculous. That's crazy, man. I have not seen it at that level. I've constantly seen it at $3. I guess, I don't know. I guess New Jersey has just been able to maintain it a little bit. Disney at 85, Apple at 175. Apple is planning to release their watch as well. NASDAQ at 13,405. The watch is going to be the X generation watch. Someone on Twitter made a joke saying, oh, I didn't know Apple was collaborating with Twitter. But it's the 10th anniversary watch. I don't know if that's going to be a massive growth cycle for them. I never wore the Apple Watch. I always felt like it was a stupid product, to be honest. Now, I know a lot of people who wear it. My mom wears it. My dad wears it. I never got into the habit of like looking at my Apple Watch for my updates about life. I'm like, bro, I'll just check my phone. Like, it's not that serious. Like, my mom bought me an Apple Watch for my 20th birthday, and I made her return it. I was like, I am not going to use this product. Like, I cannot wear this on my wrist and think that it's useful to me. It was also like $400, like $400 for this little screen on your phone, on your like wrist. Like, I never got it. So, but a lot of people do use this product. So the Apple Watch X, along with the iPhone 15, it might be a little bit of a growth curve for Apple. But they're going to have to do a lot to get back to 3 trillion and for the market to give them that beautiful valuation that they want. A lot of the healthcare pros are promoting the Apple Watch. Yeah, that's also true. The healthcare apps are definitely exciting to wear with an Apple Watch. I didn't even know my iPhone tracks the steps I was wearing. I was like walking through it. I just clicked on the health app and it showed me the steps I had walked. I was like, what? This thing is counting? I didn't even know this thing was counting that. But so even the iPhone itself is able to do some things. 420 in Utah. National average is 386. $5 gas in SoCal. $4 gas in Cape Cod. Bro, that's insane. I remember paying $4.90 at the pump, and I hated every second of it, but I was like, I had to do it. I haven't had to experience that in a while. I haven't had to do that in a while. Apple Watch can save your life. Probably can. I just never wanted to wear it, ever. Gas in the Netherlands, that's crazy. Apple Vision might trigger bigger growth in the next few years. I'm still not fully sold on the Apple Vision Pro. I mean, I liked it as a concept, but I tried the Oculus at Vitaly's house the other day, like 2 months ago, and I said I would buy it for $300. I've not even tried to buy it because then I really asked myself, like, yo, I know it's not expensive. $300 is like, it's not going to kill me, but am I actually going to put that thing on every day? I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to put on that thing every day. And so I think Apple will sell a ton of them, but until you have the killer product, like for the iPhone, the killer product was Facebook, YouTube, right? Those beautiful apps in 2010, 2011 that really got people addicted to their phone. What is the killer app that's going to be on the Vision Pro that's going to get you like hooked on having to use it every day? Palantir up 1.1%. Let me also share Sham's tweet from yesterday. I don't know what it is. Is it Zoom? Is that how Kathy gets to 1600? Because the Vision Pro is what we do. I don't know, but it's definitely going to need to be some type of product because otherwise it's hard to imagine it's going to work. 540 gas in North Cal, bro. That's crazy. This is why people are leaving California. You know, Walmart is closing like 100 stores in California, and I think like half of their go because there's too much crime. People are stealing too much shit out of the stores, and Walmart factors in their P&Ls crime, but the crime has gotten so ridiculous now they've had to like decide to close the stores. And on top of that, California is just too expensive, bro. I don't think I would ever want to live in California. I love the state. I have warm sentiment to it. I've been to California more times than I can count. I respect the state, but goodness, the prices are just ridiculous. Like, living in California is a bit insane, even if the weather is amazing. I also am very biased to New York. I love New York, so. But still, California is just insane. Okay, so Sham Sankar tweets yesterday, pumped to welcome Calypso AI to the Palantir Tech FedStart family. FedStart turns the 1.5 years IL5, IL6 process into something more like 1.5 months. We are reducing the barriers to entry for the entire defense tech ecosystem. My tweet was FedStart is one of Palantir's most underrated products. I've done a couple of videos on this before. They spent a decade getting their certification with the DoD, i.e. IL level 6. Only them, Amazon, and Microsoft have this level of certification, and are now helping startups get there within months at a fraction of the cost, basically becoming a container for startups to be able to plug their platform within Palantir's secure platform and then be able to go to the DoD or to the government and be able to sell. U.S. private venture capital defense spending was $17 billion. Those $17 billion that went to defense tech startups, they need certification in order to sell into the government. Otherwise, that 17 billion goes to shit. So you would imagine, I don't know how much of that 17 billion has to go to something like a Palantir that's actually helping companies like Calypso be able to bring their infrastructure into the government and ultimately have a customer to sell to. So I don't know what that resulted in revenue, but if it could even put another couple $100 million in top line revenue over the next couple of years, that is another growth curve for Palantir to be able to get into, which is going to be really important for them. I've seen some terrible takes from other people in other states treating California like second-rate citizens. Yeah, I mean, outside of the political stuff, which I get is there, and there's a ton of arguments for, the policies that people don't like in California. I just think the weather and the price itself is like a bit insane to justify living there, unless you are making some decent income. That's why it's tough. It's tough there. And even if you had the income, to have it be chopped away, you would have to really assume the weather is just like the beautiful part of being there and the culture and all that stuff. Walmart not leaving California because of crime. It is because California is a union state and they're getting pressure to unionize. That might be true. Chicago, they're definitely leaving because of crime. I mean, that I think is a fact. They're closing down, I think, 600 stores in Chicago. I know it's like half of the stores. They said they've never made a profit in Chicago in the 17 years that they've been in existence. And so they tried over the past couple of years to get things done, but Chicago it's not been able to get the job done for them. But yeah, weather is great. Yeah, the weather is great. That's the one thing about California. Granted, it's getting colder in New Jersey, and I actually like that. Like, I like the fact that we're seeing a little bit of chilliness, it's like getting ready for the fall and autumn. That's what I love. But some people like it hot all year long. Okay, so we got Palantir at 1449, Nvidia at 450, up 4% on the day. Wow. The markets are ready for these freaking earnings. I would hope Nvidia is not up as much before. Remember, Nvidia went up a little bit to like 300 and then it jumped to 390 the day of earnings. Nvidia at 450. Imagine it jumps to 550. Like, just imagine how insane that would be. I mean, that would be pretty great. There are puts. You can buy Nvidia puts for like 340 for like $50. And if it hits, you make like a 15x or some crazy number. I know someone was texting me about it. I'm not doing that because to me, it's kind of like gambling because I just don't think Nvidia is crashing. I really don't think their demand is falling off that badly for its crash. But, it is. There's definitely going to be buyers of those puts just in case something happens. Robinhood down a little bit on the day, $10.19. Bank of America, $29.14. Tesla, $224, up 4% on the day as well. So congrats to Tesla shareholders. Nice 4% pop. It was much needed after some of the tough declines we saw last week, especially with the automotive margin news getting cut. PayPal at $59.38. It is down. Bitcoin, 26,000 for the day. Meta at 284. Snowflake at 151. Google 128. Amazon 134. And Palantir at 1452 on the day. Not bad. Not bad. Not a horrible greenside market. Mudside, earthquake, flooding, drought, excessive heat. You can keep it. Yeah. Shout out to everyone who's in California. I hope the hurricane and the earthquake that happened yesterday is not too bad for a lot of you guys. I know that I was talking to Carlos about it. He sent me some video of just like a massive amount of rain. His like entire pool got filled up with all the rain that was happening. So his area is not hit as hard, but for those that are getting hit by it, I hope you guys are safe and nothing too crazy is happening because of that hurricane, which apparently is named Hurricane Hillary. I did not know that, but you guys named it Hillary for some reason. So that's funny. Will Hood drop below 10 again? Probably. And I will be a massive buyer of that dip again if we get it below 10. But we'll see. I still think S&P to 420. I think it's going to happen over the next month, and then we'll move forward from there, especially if we get a nasty reading on CPI in August. So if that happens, then we'll see if it gets there. Nick says California is the best economy, better than some small countries. We are an aerospace mecca. I'm a parts inspector earning $105,000 a year, so it's a trade-off. Yeah, $105,000 a year in California. What is that equivalent to? It, like, after taxes and basic expenses, basic meaning rent or mortgage, I would imagine that's what, like 55,000 left, maybe 45,000, which is not horrible, but 105 in Cali is definitely not 105 in Alabama or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I think you can still survive on six figures in California. It's not like you can't survive on six figures in California. It's just probably, still not as easy as six figures in a different country. I'm meant to use the following tab or for the For You tab on Twitter. I use the For You tab. I don't use following. For You on Twitter is actually really good. The recommendations that Twitter puts in my feed is actually amazing. So yeah, I like those. We Cali people don't do hurricanes. I was low-key panicking. Yeah, I think, California is definitely prone to natural disasters. So that is one thing you guys are known for. It rains steady and a little wind, but nothing really in San Diego. So what, is it LA that's getting hurt the most from the hurricane? Why does everyone think Alabama is cheap? Bro, it's because Alabama's cheap. Or maybe we're all wrong, but compared to California, I would imagine Alabama's a little bit cheap. 105 is like a 70K salary elsewhere. Yeah. Amit, check Adian. It's still bleeding. I forgot about Adian, man. So Adian is another fintech that was down 40%. How bad is it today? If PayPal was down, Adian's definitely got to be down. Adian. I'm saying it wrong. That's weird. Weeble isn't showing it. Let me pull it up here. Adian. Wow. Down another 5% today. Yeah. This one's up. This is the fintech one. This is fintech's getting hammered. So again, this puts more pressure on PayPal, but it might be a bigger opportunity for PayPal to come through as long as well. I made 115K in Cali. My wife stays home and we're doing fine. Where do you live? You live in LA? I think 115 in San Francisco is probably doable, but it's tough if it's in San Fran. Maybe in LA it's not the worst. But San Fran is tough. How much does Nvidia have to beat earnings for the market to stay green? Again, remember, Nvidia said they're going to do $11.4 billion in revenue this quarter. I think they've got to get that. I think they'll actually exceed that, to be honest. I think they'll do better than that. And then the guidance for next quarter, is it another 11 billion or is it at 7 billion? If the guidance goes down from 11 billion, like let's say, oh, we did 11 billion this quarter, but next quarter we're only going to do 7 billion, which is still amazing, but it's down from 11 billion. I think it crashes because then the market's like, okay, so your demand is not as big as you thought it was. You were a one-hit wonder. You're like, you're Britney Spears one more time. Now get the fuck out of here. We're done. We're not giving this valuation. But if Nvidia can be like, actually, 11 billion next quarter in 2024, this shit's going to be even more crazy. The market's going to be like, all right, we're giving you some premium. So it really depends on that demand number. We'll know within 2 minutes of the earnings what's going to happen. I make 480,000 in Oakland and I rent, bro. That's crazy. That means half has to be in taxes, right? Or at least 37%. Yeah, it's 480. That's not bad though. 480 is not bad. That's pretty amazing. Adam called Palantir price at a close for 22.22. Is there some expected catalyst other than Nvidia earnings on Friday? I don't know why Adam said that other than he was just having fun. I don't think Palantir gets to $22 if Nvidia does well. So there's no catalyst in my opinion. Maybe he's thinking the catalyst is Nvidia. But yeah, I wouldn't say we get back to 20 that quickly yet. Any IPO you would love to buy? No. Honestly, no, because buying IPOs you usually get burned on all of them. So none yet. Now, Instacart I'm looking into. I think they're probably going to be overvalued like every Silicon Valley tech company. But the product Instacart is pretty amazing from what I've seen and just some of the due diligence I've done. And I know they're trying to go public, but I wouldn't buy them. I think it's like an Uber. You know, it's going to make the VCs rich, but it's not going to make average shareholders rich. I make 65 in NY and I own. I'm dying. Yeah, I mean 65 in NY as well. But still, if you own, at least you got some equity in that. So that's not too bad. Anduril IPO, yes, that's amazing. I do think that's going to be a little bit pricey as well. I mean, in the private market, it's cheap. They're probably going to raise another round of funding before they go public. But yeah, Anduril actually would be a nice company to own. All right, that's it for me today, everybody. Hope you guys have a great week. It is starting off to a new week, Monday, August 21st. We've got 10 days left until we head into September which is absolutely crazy. We'll see how green or red the market goes this week. Nvidia is going to be important. Zoom after hours. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. I'll be covering Zoom earnings on Twitter. Link is in the description. And we'll be discussing Zoom, see where it goes. And then obviously Nvidia and Snowflake is on Wednesday. I'll probably be live streaming Nvidia. And so we'll be able to discuss and see what goes on there. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Please make sure you like. Please make sure you subscribe. And I will see you later today on Finance Junkies. Bye, everyone. Have a great, great Monday. Bye-bye.